Hello guys again, this is Fred, lesson number 1, hovering. We are again at Bresso Airport near Milan, which is where I'm training, and we will go and study a little bit hovering from theory to practice. So I have here my AirlandFS window so we can see what's going on. Let me explain a little bit about the helicopter, the aerodynamics on hovering. So a number of things happen when you're hovering. As you see here, we have our forces and torques, which I explained briefly in the previous video. At this moment, my collective is at 0. And so my main rotor force, which is driven by the collective pitch, is at 0. I have a gravity that keeps me stick to the ground. And that's the actual mass of the helicopter, which is, in this case, 3,600 pounds. As you add fuel and passenger, this will increase. As you consume fuel, it will decrease. So as I lift my collective, as you'll see, I'm going to slowly increase my collective in my joystick. Okay, it's coming. Okay, you see I'm going, let's say, to 10-15%. What you see is that I start to generate some lift here from my main rotor. And but I also generate some torques, which is, the tendency of the helicopter to rotate due to the engine torque, which transmit to the main rotor torque. Okay. In order to compensate for this torque, I will have to use my tail rotor. Otherwise, the helicopter will start spinning. So I will have to add some pedals here. I'm adding some pedals, as you see. In this case, I'm turning my joystick to the left because this helicopter is a clockwise rotor helicopter, quite unique in helicopters. Mostly European helicopters have that. The Robinson 44, all the American helicopters have a left, so a counter-rotating rotor. But once you get used to one, it's kind of similar through the others. So I have to add some pedal in order to compensate for my rotational torque. So if I look here, 4,400, ideally, I will never go by the numbers, but I'll just go by, adding my, okay, it's just going back and forth, but this is stabilizing. There is some complex math there. So if I go to 4,000 and something, my helicopter will not spin. But what happens is, let me show you something from the outside. So what we're doing here is my helicopter rotates clockwise, okay, the rotor, so the helicopter will tend to rotate counterclockwise. So my nose will go left. As my nose will tend to rotate in this direction, I will use my tail rotor to compensate for this rotation. So basically, it's trying to turn the helicopter in this direction to compensate for it, so to keep it straight. But the tail rotor, as you see here, is in fact a propeller. So my helicopter will tend to drift to the left because the tail rotor is pushing it to the left. To compensate that, I will have to use my cyclic, which is this axis here in the helicopter. So this is the cyclic. I will have to use my cyclic in order to keep the helicopter not drifting to the left. So all the three things combined will make it for a proper hover. And especially in max realism and with the H125, which is a powerful helicopter and has a powerful torque, this is not quite easy. I'm going to show that to you briefly, and you'll see me adjust a lot. And but this is what is needed to fly and hover an helicopter. As I suggested, I recommend you don't start with the professional settings, but just start slower and progressively get into that. When you reduce those settings, I will kind of make it easier for you to hover. I will slow the helicopter a little bit when you're below a certain speed, and I will also reduce the torque proportionally So if you're all the way to the left, which is, you know, beginner pilot, the torque is almost not there. But, well, we're training for everyone, so just as slowly and try and follow me. So I'm lifting my collective. I'm now at 33%. I think, okay, as you see, I'm going out around 50% and I'm micromanaging. And you see the helicopter starts spinning. I don't have enough power to actually lift the helicopter, uh, but it will slide. So now I'm gonna do something. I'm kind of gonna lift quite quickly just because my FPS here dropped already. And this is an issue with Microsoft Flight Simulator. When the skids drift too much on the ground, it eats FPS for some reason. I had to redo this video a couple of times. So just stay with me as I'm lifting without drifting. Okay. I lifted it a little bit too much. It should be slower, but I want to show you, and I already lost some FPS before. So if you look here, what I'm doing, if you look at my controls, I'm keeping the helicopter right at about the ground. And if you look at it, okay, in order to not rotate, I have to have 74% pedals. If I let the pedals go, let's look what happens. Wow, the helicopter goes all the way. Now I just let the pedal go, okay? Well, in this case, I'm just keeping it there. I'm just going to turn around, which makes it easier. In fact, this is why it's easier to turn left with this helicopter rather than turn right. Okay. Now I'm stopping the spinning rotation. But if you see, it starts to drift to the left just because the tail rotor is pushing us. So I need to compensate by applying some right pitch. If you look at my cyclic, I have I am keeping on putting some cyclic to the right, okay, and in order to stay there. Now you don't want to usually hover it that close to the ground, so I'm gonna add a little bit of collective, but really almost nothing, okay. And obviously, when you're close to the ground, you get some ground effect, and when you're away from the ground, you lose it. But okay, and you can actually see my um, vertical speed indicator changing. Okay, okay, it looks like I'm flying all over because I'm thinking about other things. But okay, let me just show you. You can actually stop the helicopter midair as it should. Okay, let me just go somewhere. I don't want to go too fast. You want to walk your helicopter, or you'll take off because as you gain speed, the both rotors' efficiency increase because of a different flow through the rotor of the air. So the rotor gets some wind or some fresh air, and so becomes more efficient. And okay, I'm gonna just land here. Otherwise, I cannot talk and fly at the same time. Okay, I've landed the helicopter. And if you noticed, I landed with my right skid first and the left skid second. This is because I had to compensate for the translating uh, tendency given by the tail rotor. You see how long have we been into this video? Just 1 second. It's been 9 minutes, and I think we can stop here. Thank you, guys.